Yeah, so let's start with stage because that's quite topical. So, oh, we're live already.
Are we live already? Oh, hello. This is just like, well,
Why do we do that every week?
I don't know. It's like, are we on? Are we on? I think so. Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, yeah. We're on. So we're so professional, aren't we?
We are. We know what we're doing. It's it's a bit like the listeners probably heard what we were just saying about. Let's talk about staged at the start, but it is a bit like staged, isn't it? So that's why we've left the backgrounds off, so you can see actually where we do this from.
Yes.
So I'm in my study and I've got my condenser mic here, and you can see the junk that's behind me. You know, it's just
It's not junk. It's all useful. Everything's useful there.
It is. The fan's not that useful at this time of year, but it does get warm, so it's quite good.
And as you can see, I've got my curtains. I've got my curtains there. I haven't. The reason why the curtains are closed is because we were going to use backdrops. We decided not to use them in the end. And I have my little microphone just here.
Oh,
so yeah. So
no, I'm
sorry.
I was going to say you've got a small one.
It is. It is. It's a diddy one.
A dinky one.
It's a dinky one. Yeah. But no, we were talking about stage, which is about two blokes just talking on Zoom, basically, and we thought that was quite familiar.
It is, and it's David Tennant and
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen. Sorry, I could see his face. I just couldn't get the name out then. Their wives get involved, don't they? And things.
I don't. They all the way through. You've got series one.
Yeah.
Where basically they're talking about stage, and it's all about them because they can't get together, but they need to rehearse a play. So it's all about the director and them trying to rehearse this play. Now, Michael Sheen is a very strong Brian Blessed sort of actor, and he gets very, very, how can we say, he gets very into his role. And there's a lot of things that go on around them, like he talks about the neighbour next door and things like that. And they have arguments as well. They act like children. But it's
hilarious. They're about 15 minutes per episode, aren't they?
They are. I watched series 1 and 2 on Saturday night. It was such compelling watching, and you need to watch the credits as well because they put things in the credits at the end. So it's really, really good, and series 2 is just as good as series 1. Mind you, if we've got into lockdown 3, so there may be a third series.
Yeah, I must admit, I was like you. I watched it back to back and really enjoyed it. You know, got into it and just really enjoyed what was going on. It was quite an amazing thing to watch, and it was very amusing, to be honest. And then I ended up Googling the other people. So you've got David Tennant's wife and Michael Sheen's wife coming in as well, and they're quite not famous in their own rights almost, but they
how
really...
can you say that? Georgia Tennant, she's a writer. She was also in Doctor Who as well, believe it or not.
I didn't know that until I Googled her.
She played Doctor Who's daughter, which must have been really, really strange.
Was David the Doctor at the time?
He was. But totally ironically, Georgia's father is Peter Davison. So theoretically she is Doctor Who's daughter. Because Peter Davison was Doctor Who, obviously. So can you imagine that? Being married to...
I have to be married to Doctor Who and being the daughter of Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's just like bizarre.
It is. That's a bit incestuous, actually.
We're going to have to put that in the hashtags. Hashtag Doctor Who's daughter.
Doctor Who's daughter. But I have to confess, until I'd Googled her, Googled the programme, I'd never heard of her. And then when it came up with a picture of her, in Doctor Who, I went, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I've just had a message from Cal. I've just had a message. Hello, mate. Sorry. I'll read it to you. Hello, mate. Sorry, I completely forgot about this. I can jump on in 10 minutes. So, yes, we will be we'll be joined
See you
by...
in 10 minutes, Cal.
She's obviously seen it pop up and go, I'm meant to be on that.
Yeah. We've only been waiting for you for the last 10 minutes. Don't worry.
Yeah. So
there she is.
Kel and Lisa may be coming on from Watch It's Residents Forum to discuss obviously Watch It's and what's going on there. So but no, we have been lockdown means binge watching. I've also been watching. Now I binge watch more than you, Mike, because
you seem to have more time than me.
No, I don't. I don't have more time than you. I just sit there and just watch. I've got when I work, I I have to work with something, whether it's the radio on in the background or the television.
So you have sound on, whereas I don't. Yeah.
Because and my lovely wife is always going on like, you got the TV on, you got this, you should do it in silence. But I can't do it in silence because nothing gets done. So do you want to turn your light back on, Mike?
I know, I'm just trying to get the light right. I'm just trying to get the light right because it's glowing off my shiny head. That seems a bit better, but it's just trying to get that balance right. It isn't working today. Oh well.
The light, you need a light in front of you.
I know. Let's try that one. Is that any better balance? Oh no, that's worse.
Yeah. You see, I've got an LED light straight above my head, which works really well.
There we go. That's one right in front of me. And now I look. That doesn't work either.
That doesn't work either.
Oh,
you need it. We need a studio. That's what we need. We need a studio.
We do. No.
We'll work on getting that once we get out of lockdown. Yeah.
That would be too posh.
So
what have you been I can't say that sentence.
Binge watching. I have been rewatching Ashes to Ashes
with Keely Hawes.
With Keely Hawes and Phil Glenster. And basically it's set in the 80s. I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but if you like the Sweeney, then you will love it. You will love it. There are certain phrases that come out of it, like heat up the Quattro. And I can't say too much because there's a lot of swearing. Okay, and a lot of profanities go on, but it's set in the 80s. That's what you've got to remember. Okay, it's not set now, so it's not politically correct. Okay, yes, I love that. And the soundtrack is amazing as well. If you go onto iTunes and type in Ashes soundtrack, all these 80s songs come up, and it's fantastic. And the other thing I've been binge watching is Victoria, about Queen Victoria.
Okay.
Now,
what's that on?
What's that on? That's on. What have I been watching that on? BritBox. I've been watching that on BritBox. Both of them are on BritBox. So
okay.
That stars Jenna Coleman. Now, Jenna Coleman, of course, was in Doctor Who as well. There's a little theme going here. But she plays Queen Victoria through the years from when she became Queen all the way up. The reason why I like it is because of the history. I'm a bit of a history nerd. So you get to see how things, and when houses get mentioned and things like that, you sort of there Googling the house and see if it's still there. But it's like Buckingham Palace. Did you know Buckingham Palace used to be Buckingham House?
Yes.
It only gets called a palace when the Queen moves in.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Absolutely.
And also you get to see it in its original state as well with, is it Marble Arch? Is it Marble Arch? At the front of Buckingham Palace.
That's not Marble Arch.
That's
the Mall.
The Mall, yeah.
Palace. Marble Arch is quite a distance away.
Yeah, no, there's basically...
Your London geography is not great.
No, I haven't worked. No, basically they moved.
Somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong now, aren't they?
yeah. They moved the front gate of Buckingham Palace because they didn't like where it was. So they literally took it down brick by brick and rehoused it. It's down by Horse Guards Parade, I think. Now,
okay.
But if you see, you'll be able to see. If you Google pictures of Victorian Buckingham Palace, you'll get to see. The massive great building that's in front, but I can't think of the name of it, which is really, really annoying. So if our viewer out there, if he's listening, if he wants to let us know what it is, and we can all look really, really stupid, and go, oh yeah, it's that, isn't it? That's right. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my hair at the moment.
I'd just be grateful you've got one. Don't play.
I'm just going to play with it. Yeah. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
Just wish. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's loads we want to talk about today without getting too political.
I was just about to say you're feeling a lot better because you're kind of just
sorry
now, aren't you? So I can tell compared to a couple of weeks ago, you're feeling a bit more with it. Whereas a couple of weeks ago, I was having to carry you.
Yeah, I know. I'm
so glad it wasn't in person because I have to confess, you're taller than me and bigger than me. And that wouldn't have been a pleasant experience for me.
And at the moment, I'm a lot heavier as well because, of course, lockdown means you eat a lot of food as well.
I think we should probably go and get Kel on because she's sitting patiently in the waiting room. Now she's remembered. So should we bring Kel in? I hope
excellent.
Kel, because I'm about to bring you in. So here we go.
Here we go. She hasn't been briefed either, so she's no idea.
So this is totally... Hi, Kel. Nice.
Hello, Kel.
Oh, hang on. She's still connecting. It's not like Teams. It's not instant.
Connecting with audio. With audio. Hello. Oh, you've muted yourself. Unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm unmuted. You can phones. You're right.
Yeah, not bad. So did you have that moment where you went, oh no, I'm meant to be on there?
Yeah, I did. You know what? You know me, my life is so busy. And then Lise just said to me, "Oh, you meant to be doing something." I was like, oh, yeah. So sorry, boys.
That's all right. That's all right. Not a problem.
We were only sat waiting for you for 10 minutes. Don't worry.
I thought we better go on now.
Waited, right?
No. We just went, what the heck? She's not here. We'll just go with it anyway. So, what a lovely lounge. I love all your pictures up there behind you.
Do you know what? This isn't my lounge. This is my bedroom. I'm hiding.
Oh, okay. Oh, of course.
Okay.
I suppose you've got loads of kids running around because you're child-minding, aren't you?
We're childminders, yeah. So Lisa's downstairs managing the chaos and the carnage. And I've escaped up here.
How have you coped with being a childminder in this situation?
Do you know what? Not much has changed for us, to be honest. Even during the first lockdown, when we were only able to have key worker children, it just transpired that most of the families we work with happen to be key workers anyway. So it really didn't affect anything, you know. And now we're allowed to remain open the same as nurseries are. So it's just life as usual for us.
So what do you do with the children all day? You know, it's something I've never done is be a childminder. So what do you do with the children all day?
Well, you got chimneys to clean. There's the kitchen. There's a stove. There's like loads of stuff you can do.
Yeah, Neil, that's illegal now.
We do targeted activities. So we work to the EYFS and we do we do a lot of reading. We do a lot of craft things. We have free play, but we don't have a house full of plastic toys. You know, we have real everyday objects for the young people to actually interact with and explore the world with.
It's brilliant because it's you obviously need a lot of patience to do it, but it's encouraging the children as they would be at home, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's exploring real life. You know, there's of course there is a place in the world for plastic toys and noisy things, but actually, if you give a kid a bowl full of buttons and a stick, their imagination takes them somewhere insanely brilliant, and it's creative play, and it does allow them to really explore their imaginations, and that is just so much better than plonking them down with a Kindle or giving them like I said, plastic toys that light up and beep and stuff. They do much prefer real world things.
It's certainly the favored thing of early years workers is a bag of pasta and some glue. You can do all sorts.
Pasta is great because it's tactile and it's noisy.
It is,
crunched. And one of our favorite things to do is we get a big box of cornflakes and we tip it all out into a tray and we put some dinosaurs in it, and it allows them to kind of explore and crunch the cornflakes down and
cool,
imagine things like that. So you've sort of got to think outside the box, really.
That's brilliant.
Is it like child minding from like the 1930s then? Where literally
no, Kel and Lisa aren't from the 1930s.
I know,
but hip and with it. Come on.
It's the sort of thing that my nan would have done with me. Like you say, going out collecting. So because they had lots of trees in their garden, so we used to go out and we used to do collecting fruit. We used to do raspberry picking and strawberry picking and things like that. All the old things that a lot of kids don't actually get the chance to do.
Well, we're aware of that, we do spend a lot of time outside. We do, a lot of nature play, and we do things like collecting nature treasure. So we'll go out and, who can collect the most acorns and who can find the biggest leaf.
Oh, parents love you, don't they? And then these kids come back with all these things.
Yeah. We're always sending kids home with big bags full of nature treasure, but they absolutely love it and it gets them excited,
It's just brilliant. And what have you been up to in the last couple of weeks? You and Lisa are involved in so much. I've had the real pleasure of speaking on the what is it I've spoken on? Surrey Pride's pages and doing stuff. You're involved with that. You're involved with the residents you just do so much.
Yeah, well, you got to keep busy, haven't you? And especially at this time, there's so many people need assistance. So as you said, we do a lot of work with Surrey Pride. We're on the management committee there. We take part in Not Alone, which is basically just creating programming for people that are, locked down or feeling isolated or lonely. So we, just trying to perk people up and cheer people up that way and just let them know they've got support. We run the Watch Its Residents Forum, which it is a community support forum. So we do our very best to look after people there.
And that grew out with lockdown 1, didn't it? Because of the providing the support in the ward there.
Yeah, it did. And obviously, sorry, he prepared, stopped running after lockdown one, but we obviously knew that there was still a need in our community.
Absolutely.
And if we can help people out, it's all sorts of things. The other day I had a little job, and actually all I had to do was go around and grab somebody's post out of a porch and pop it through the door for them because they were unwell indoors. It's little things like that make a big difference to people. And if you can help them out and you've got 10 minutes in your day to just go and do something like that for people, it really makes a big difference and makes people feel like they're part of a community that values them.
It does. And it's, it's just doing that little thing. And I know, you are appreciated from some of the wonderful gifts you get off people, but you pay that both ways, don't you? Because I know I popped to your house to drop things off and come away with a bunch of cakes. And it's just...
I didn't get offered any cakes when I was there. I had a drink. Do you want a gin and tonic? It's like,
Okay, so that's the difference, you see. I got cake, you got gin and tonic. I don't know what you're complaining about.
We do our best to make everyone feel welcome here.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. And what's been the main thing that's been on your radar in the last couple of weeks then? What's been the main thing that residents have been worrying about?
What we're very concerned about at the moment is the free school meals provision.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been a lot of press about that the last few days, and we've all seen the pictures that are going around where people have been dumped, one mouldy potato and, a baggie of tuna that's been, decanted into a coin bag, and it's just simply not good enough. So what we're focusing on at the moment is making sure the families we work with and the people that we're speaking to have physically got enough food to sustain their children at the moment.
And that's what it is, isn't it? It's working with, if you haven't got enough food, then call or Facebook you or whatever on. But there are other places which are doing it, aren't there, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say, if you are struggling and you've not got enough food, get in touch either with the Borough Council, because they need to know about it, to be honest, especially if it's the free school meal provision that's, I think that the way to describe it is it's just been so patchy across the whole country. It's meant to be the same provision everywhere, but it's just bizarrely different. And I just can't get my head round why on earth they're providing the food and not the vouchers, because the vouchers make so much more sense, unless the intent is to try and avoid people going out the houses. But if that's the case, give them something that they can use for a week rather than the rubbish.
I don't know if that is the intention, Mike. I think
that's probably too deep thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, no, do you know what? They just think that people are going to abuse the voucher scheme, and that's that seems to be from above the impression people have of
2 secs. Keep going.
Of people that don't, necessarily have a lot of money. And, I don't believe that the vouchers are being spent on, tobacco and beer. I think people, they genuinely do need them and use them to feed their families in the way they know how.
And we've spoke about it before, because you can put a restriction on vouchers, can't you, and say it's just for food products. And I think that it's the work to get the supermarkets to buy them, but they managed to achieve that in lockdown 1. It worked really well. But to be honest with you, we have to credit people with some common sense. If you're given a voucher for a week for £15 for a child, there will be some abuses of that, and people will spend it on things that's probably not appropriate, even food wise. But actually, it's giving the individual that freedom to make that choice, rather than giving them a food parcel that I've seen, you've seen, others have seen, that's about £5 worth of food that's meant to be a lot more than that.
But they're not appropriate, Mike. That people aren't, they're giving cheese out and things like that. We know there are a lot of people with dairy intolerances. They're giving pasta out in unmarked bags. They're giving food out in unmarked bags. So there's no allergen information, We've spoken to people that have had to sling it all away because they've got no allergy information on the packets.
Absolutely. What shocked me was the picture we've all seen that Marcus Rashford has been sharing, which is that shocking image of decanted pasta and absolute rubbish. What shocked me more was the cheese slices. I just couldn't get my head around that. Why would you decant cheese slices? Just give them a pack of 10, for goodness sake. They cost you next to nothing.
Why cheese slices?
Just give cheese. Yeah, it's nicer.
We know from doing Surrey Heath Prepared and from working with families, we know that actually if you're really clever with your budget, you can provide excellent, healthy, nutritious meals for next to nothing.
Yeah.
But taking away that power from people to give their children the food they do like, the food they are able to eat because of allergens, it really is quite an awful thing, I think.
It is. What I was assured, though, I did see a couple of pictures that people had sent me and others from what they'd received here in Surrey Heath. And the message that I got was, there was a couple of things they had to throw away because there was no allergen stuff on it, which is fair enough. That was biscuits from the schools, that the schools had supplemented what was there. But there was, one of the boxes I saw was for a 5-year-old for a week, and there wasn't probably enough food in there to do meals for a 5-year-old, 5 meals for a week, which was quite reassuring. It was a good box, but it could have been better. And what disturbed me is the disparity across the place. So I've seen that from one person in Surrey Heath, but I've seen then something different from somebody else in Surrey Heath. And that really concerns me. And I wonder if, some of the schools have supplemented these boxes. But I think we need to go back to the voucher scheme. Thankfully, the company, Chartwell's, isn't it, did admit yesterday they'd got it wrong. So I needed to up the game.
It's too late though, isn't it? And the thing is, it's like you said, the food parcels might be completely adequate for a 5-year-old that, isn't fussy with his food. But looking at those boxes, my oldest son would demolish that whole box for a snack. It's all very well, trying to give people something across the board, but everybody's got different needs and different tastes. And a 5-year-old is not going to eat the same as a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old.
Well, that was my thought when I looked at it. The box I saw was great for a 5-year-old with lots of food, but if they send in the same box to a 15-year-old, that's about 2 meals.
I mean, the other thing they were talking about was sometimes the parents can't get to the place if they're not delivered. They have to go and pick them up, so they can't get there because they might have to take the bus or whatever, or they might be at work, or so there's all weighing up the pros and cons, and so some people aren't even getting the free school meals because they can't get hold of them.
And that's where the food vouchers probably come in again, isn't it? Because they can use them for shopping deliveries, can't they? I guess.
Yeah, but this causes all sorts of problems, doesn't it? If people can't get out to collect these food parcels, then what they tend to end up doing is spending money they haven't got on the food provision. And then that leads on to rent not being paid and bills not being paid. And it just has a knock-on effect to people's whole lives. And actually, it'd be really simple for the government to say, here you go, here's a 60 quid food voucher, stretch it out for the month, and we'll revisit it next month if lockdown's still continuing.
Yeah, let's bring it back to local, because I think there is a big question, isn't there, Kel? If people are really struggling, they're not alone. We just need to make that really clear. You're not alone. There's plenty of groups out there to help. Each ward still has its own residents groups in place, following on from Surrey Heath Prepared. Get in touch with them via Facebook. We're on Facebook, so hang on. I've just buzzed, so let me come on there. Get in touch with them from Facebook. There's also get in touch with Surrey Heath CAB, Citizens Advice, and they will point you in the right direction, enable you to get longer provision if you need it. And then also, please, contact the council, let them know, 707 100. And there's also 2 free food stalls, isn't there, in the borough? One in on the Old Dean at St Martin's, and one at St Mary's. What time are they on a Sunday, Cal?
They're 12 to 1:30, and all you got to do is pop along with a carrier bag, and there is lots of fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. There are eggs. There's staples there for people to take away, and there's actually going to be some exciting news coming about that in the coming weeks. We're hoping to be able to put together more substantial sort of meal bags for families. So keep your eye on that. All the information is on the St Mary's website, the St Martin's website, and you can also check out our Facebook page, Watch It's Residents Association, for all the details on there of how to access that service.
And I think the key message is you're not alone. Please, if you're not sure who to call, give Highcross a ring. We'll point you in the right direction, but do not go hungry. And I think what's wonderful, since the first lockdown, these residents groups have come up. There's a new Bisley and West End food bank as well. There is provision there. You just need to ask, and don't be afraid of asking. Any of the local councillors will respond. Lots of the local activists. Feel free to message me or Neil or Kel, and we'll put you in touch with the right people to make sure that you don't go without. And that is the key. Have courage, take that step, and give one of us a shout, and we'll point you in the right direction.
I mean, in this day and age, no one should be going hungry whatsoever.
Absolutely.
No, but also please don't be embarrassed about it. You know, this
absolutely.
is really tricky times for a lot of people, and we understand that, you know, people's lives have been turned upside down this last year because of this virus, you know, and we understand that for a lot of people it's going to be a really temporary issue while you're not able to work because of lockdown and things like that. So please don't be embarrassed. We don't judge at all. Nobody's judging. Everybody just wants to help and pull together as a community to make sure that we're all well.
Yeah.
You've hit the nail on the head there, Kel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you go and get on with your child minding and to save Lisa from whatever chaos is going on in the house.
Very grateful.
Have you got your own children at home studying as well, or?
No, because we're key workers, our kids can go into school. Brilliant. So they're in very small bubbles in school doing their work. So
yeah, I was in school in Kings. My children go to Kings as well, and I was in school on Monday helping with the swab testing, which was really well done. And I must admit, the best thing for me was, as a volunteer, I got swab tested as well. So I know I'm COVID-free. But it was a real honour to do it and to see the community there involved and doing things, and the children there coming to be swabbed as well. So great, Kel. Thanks for the work you and Lisa are doing. And
fantastic job.
Let's just reiterate that message again to the community that you're not alone. Ask any of us and we'll help you out.
Absolutely. We're here for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care, Kel. Keep safe. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Oh, hang on.
I'll put back in the waiting room.
That awkward stuff.
I'll put you in the waiting room, Neil. I'll bring Neil back in. Oh, it's just me now. Oh, well, I seem to have taken over the show, which is wonderful. So I put Neil in the waiting room by mistake. So instead of Kel, you need to unmute yourself now, Neil, as well.
There we go. Yeah. All right.
I have the power.
Yeah, I feel the same about you, Mike.
What was going through my mind then? Our one listener that's out there is, if you remember the 80s, the Power of Grayskull from He-Man.
Yes,
series.
yes.
Power of Grayskull.
The Power of Grayskull, yes. Right, let's talk about some current affairs. What's going on around England? I want to talk about the Isle of Wight. The Isle of Wight, obviously, a few weeks ago, their COVID was really, really low. Now it's really spiking really high. And last night on the news, they were saying about how they might have to medivac patients out of the Isle of Wight because the Isle of Wight hasn't got a hospital. They use Southampton as their main hospital. So it's like they might have to helicopter people out because they just haven't got the resources. And because obviously people aren't protecting themselves, they're just still going out.
And it's been the same, not even that far away. In Surrey, they've had to open that temporary mortuary. The Nightingale Hospital's got patients in again in London. And, the good thing is the mass vaccinations have started. Yeah. But I think it's that key message. The Home Secretary yesterday, Piri Patel, was saying people need to get this. They need to stick to the rules, stay at home, protect the NHS, save lives, only go out when it's absolutely necessary. And I know there's been a lot of debate on the news this week as to what that means. What does local mean? There's been the question, did the Prime Minister break that by cycling 7 miles away from home? But the devil isn't in the detail, because the message is really clear. As far as I'm concerned, stay at home, protect the NHS, save lives. Only go out to exercise, and if it's absolutely necessary, and then put a mask on and keep away from people.
And this morning they were talking about re-looking at tradesmen going into people's homes. Queuing outside takeaways. Are they going to be closing the takeaways for pickup, which is going to really, really make a major impact.
And that's because people are pushing the boundaries, isn't it? And it's. And it's, I'm still shocked. I will be honest, and our viewer might disagree, but I fundamentally disagree with the government on this, that places of worship should be closed. I think that's just such foolishness to have them still open, and we can worship together online and close in love to protect the community and to love each other. People just need to adhere to the rules and stay away from each other, to be honest.
As an example for you, Mike, on a Sunday, your service on a Sunday, you get about 200 people. It's streamed. You get about 200 people. Yeah. Now, normally, that's slightly more than what you would get normally.
It is. In the olden days, we used to get about 100 there on a Sunday. So to get 200 viewing it, we have about 50 live, and then another 150 watch it throughout the week at different times, which is wonderful. So to get that number engaged in a safe way is phenomenal. And there is nothing wrong with that. I can understand, actually, the intricacies of the Catholic faith is the building is important and the mass is important. But actually, for me, what's more important is loving each other, and love sometimes means being apart. And that's what this is about. I'm desperate to see people. I'm desperate to share with members of my congregation. I'll be honest, I would love to give some of them a hug and say it's going to be okay. But if I give somebody a hug and say it's going to be okay, I might kill them.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get your head around that.
It is.
But we're better apart at the moment, and being apart is love. And we need to do that. So please, folks, don't push the boundaries, because pushing the boundaries will kill people. And I was quite stunned. I walked down to Highcross yesterday as part of my walk, and it is my place of work, so I'm allowed. And the amount of people around walking was great, but I nipped into Sainsbury's in the town centre. There wasn't a huge amount of people in, but I did spot a couple of people still in the square who were clearly out just for a meander. And I also saw people around the town centre without masks on. And it's just kind of, come on, please play the game.
Let's just bring this up very, very quickly, because we are pushed for time again.
We are. We've waffled on, haven't we?
I know. So Sainsbury's joined the fight yesterday. They started the fight. They were going to refuse entry to people who weren't wearing masks.
Yeah.
And today we have M&S, Asda, Tesco's and Waitrose have all said that they are going to follow suit. So if you do go to a supermarket, then please remember to take your... I've always worn a mask when I go out in a supermarket or in a shop or anything like that. I just wear a mask as soon as I get out the car, basically.
And the point was made, and I think it's a really good point that people forget, that they are private establishments. You have no right of access to a shop. It's a private building. And by the nature of a shop, they allow you to come in. If you don't comply with the rules, they can refuse you access, because it's a private establishment. And it's tough. If you don't like that, tough. But I think it's people are pushing the boundaries. So please, stop pushing it. And in love, think of each other and put the mask on, do those basics: hands, face and space. It's dead simple. And they're now suggesting, aren't they, probably 3 meters is more appropriate than 2 with this new variant as well.
Well, to be honest, don't go out at all unless you really have to. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Yeah.
I would agree entirely. And remember, there's ways to do that. There's slots available with the supermarkets. If you're struggling with the main supermarkets, I know Iceland have had...
Iceland, we use Iceland a lot, actually.
And then there's other ways. I'm not a great, use shop local, but Amazon Fresh is also good. And things like that. So, and I'm going to mention Terry, because Emmett's Fruit and Veg are doing parcel deliveries. H&R News, if you're one of their customers, they'll bring extras with your paper and drop things off. So do your best, stay at home. And the statistics yesterday were showing, actually, there's about 50% less compliance with that than there was in lockdown 1, which is really sad.
People are getting complacent now, but with staying at home, that brings us, our last section today is one I want to talk about, is your gas and electric. Now,
it's good. I was wondering where you were going with that.
So people, they are using a lot more gas and electric. It's coming out. This is the coldest part of the year now. January and February are normally the coldest parts. So heating wise, what you need to do is you need to keep your doors closed. I know it sounds a bit ridiculous. Internal doors closed.
Please close your front and back door as well. That's quite useful.
Try and keep the heat in as much as possible. And then if you are feeling a little bit cold and you feel you need to put the heating on, put it on for like 1 or 2 hours. Don't just stick it on for the rest of the day. But if you keep the doors closed, it will keep the heat within the room. I know it sounds a bit ridiculous, but the thing is, otherwise you're going to start. I mean, we've got one of these little smart meters that goes on.
You're open plan though, aren't you? So it doesn't help.
It doesn't help being open plan. The estate agents are really pushing for open plan buildings, but at the moment, open plan is not a good idea whatsoever. So
unless you've got really good insulation and window, And thermal properties.
Thermal properties, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would say is, okay, if with your heating, just turn it on, just have it on tick over on like 15 degrees or something like that. You know, leave that on, it'll go on and off, on and off. But with the smart meter, you can actually see the money literally going down the drain.
What you're saying about 15, 16 degrees, we leave ours on about 16 degrees all the time. And it ticks on. In the evenings, we turn it up a bit higher because you get a bit chillier in the evening. But there's that wonderful thing, you know, being a northerner, I can say this. There's that wonderful thing called jumpers. And I always remember my mum saying, if you're cold, go and put another jumper on.
Yeah.
And there is no, you know, I've got my jumper on. It's quite a light one. But I wear my jumper all day. And my daughter's got a shawl that she wears. And the house isn't cold, but it's cozy, isn't it, to have a jumper and a blanket round you?
Yeah, obviously Cheryl hasn't been ill. We've had COVID and that, so Cheryl's got a blanket down here. I sometimes wear my fleece around the house. Oh, it's perfectly comfortable. Some people don't agree with it, and they like to wear shorts and t-shirt in their house. You know, but
it's about trying to, you know, at the moment trying to save a bit of money. And you know, think about your lighting as well, the electricity usage. LED light bulbs are the way ahead. And also, if you don't need a light on, turn it off. And remember, during the day, you can open your curtains and let the light in. There's that wonderful thing called the big bulb in the sky called the sun that God gave us, in my opinion, that allows us to get the light in the house. The only downside, I don't know what the other viewer thinks, but the only downside is when the sun shines, you can see the dirt and the cobwebs and the dust. So,
especially if you have white walls, it's not very good. The reason why I've got the light on is because I'm using Zoom, and Zoom doesn't act very well with natural light, unfortunately. So
it doesn't. That's why my blinds are closed as well.
Yeah.
But do use that natural light and try and conserve some energy, and you'll get through this.
Yes.
And remember, if you're local as well, if you're really struggling when it comes to fuel poverty, we have got organisations out there that will help. Friendly fuel allotments is the main one. If you're in GU 15 and GU 16, do Google it, and there's an online application, and that can also be printed off and dropped off at Highcross Church, and we'll pass that on to them. But please don't be cold, but just think about how you use your energy. Now's the time to conserve it better.
And also, if you have an elderly neighbour, remember to check on them as well, because
absolutely
they do live in fear of having a massive rate bill, and a lot of them have these pay meters. So it is the case. Sometimes you'll go in there and it's like, oh, it's like an ice box, and then you'll go into the lounge and they've got all the doors closed, but they've got they've got the fire on. So you know, you need to if you can please check. This is the time when we need to check with the elderly.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, when I say elderly, I'm not talking sort of 65. I'm talking about, you know, sort of 80, 90-year-olds.
Yeah. I was just going to reminisce. I remember, you know, my grandparents used to, they were in a council house, and the original windows were the metal frames, you know, with original a single pane of glass in.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember and there was no central heating, which was great. They eventually got storage heaters, but I'm just hearing Alexander in the background commenting. But
you're frozen.
I know. So it was. What was funny is you'd walk through with my grandparents. You'd walk through the house from the kitchen. It'd be quite cold. You'd get into the lounge, and the fire was on because they had a gas fire, and it was like a wall of heat that hit you because that room was lovely and warm.
Yeah.
And then you'd have the hot water bottle in the bed ready for going to bed with a dozen blankets on top. But it was cozy. And I always loved going to my grandparents and just snuggling in the warmth, even though there was no heating and no really insulation in the property or the windows. You may do, but I think in the 80s we were, it's going to sound awful, we're a bit tougher than we are now, to be honest, when it came to how we lived.
We were. I mean, I can remember going to my nan's and the pajamas being put in front of the electric fire.
Oh yeah, to warm them up. Yeah, never put them on the fire though, else you might.
No. Yeah, and they had two radiators in the house, one in the hallway and one in the study, which was on the back of the hallway.
You were clearly posh because you had radiators.
They had two radiators, yeah.
Oh, even posher, yeah.
Yeah, and they actually lived in Farnham Common, which is where they filmed a lot of the Carry On films. So quite often there was a film truck or whatever driving around and things like that. But so please, with your heating, keep warm with your heating and electric. Please, keep an eye on it. And if your bill is getting a bit high, contact the electricity people, or like you say, we have phone numbers for people who can help. Don't get distressed about it. You just need to talk to someone.
Yep. And I think that's key. And I'm going to reiterate again that remember, Surrey Heath Citizens Advice are here to support people. Citizens Advice, Surrey Heath.
Citizens Advice.
Cash. But they're here to support you. You know, if you're getting into some financial difficulties, if you're struggling, give Citizens Advice, Surrey Heath a ring. We'll put their number in the comments after this stream as well, so that people have got it. So I think that's probably all from us today, isn't it? And it's just going to say, can I just say a message of keep safe, everyone? You know, and spend time with each other at this time. Remember that you're still loved, you're still cared for, and love is being a part. And that we're here as a church at Highcross. We're here as community organisations to support you if you're in need, and we'll point you in the right direction if we don't have the answer.
And Mike, next week, can we make a promise not to talk about COVID at all? We'll have a COVID-free show. We
will do our best. But hang on, I'm just looking. Next week, though, is the 20th, isn't it?
It is.
So what happens on the 20th of January?
I don't know.
Don't know?
No.
Oh, hopefully our viewing. It's the inauguration of the new president of the United States.
Oh, well, they've got to get, because they're chucking the old one out, aren't they?
Well, we'll see. But let's not go there. That's a discussion for next week.
Okay. All right. We want no COVID next week. COVID-free show next week, hopefully.
Okay, that sounds good. A virus-free show. And I'll try not to put you in the waiting room next week.
Okay. And we will try to be really professional when we start and go, we live yet? We live? Yeah, we're live. Yeah. We'll try and be really professional. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye.